Well, this is going to be an interesting game. We don't know if Jamal Murray is going to play in this game or Porter is going to come back. Now, there are stories coming out that a lot of people are attacking Jamal Murray, that he hasn't stepped on the court in this series when people believe he's 100% healthy. I don't know what Denver is doing with Jamal Murray, if they're going to try to get him on the court in game number 4. It would be very helpful for this team to have Jamal Murray and Porter on the floor to help them at least win one game in this series. I think Golden State will win this game, but I also believe there are certain players that I would bet on in this game when you're looking at points. Aaron Gordon is supposedly 14.5, negative 125 on the over. I think Aaron Gordon will score more than 14.5 in this game. I think he'll score about 17 or 18 points. Also, Nikola Jokic, 13.5, negative 115 on the over. I think he's going to have an under game. I do not think he's going to score 30.5. I think he's going to score a little bit less, 27 or 28 points. So bet Nikola Jokic, the Joker, on the under in this game. So I predict Golden State will win. Aaron Gordon on the over 14.5 and on the under for Nikola Jokic 30.5. Expect him to score 27, 28 in this game.
We had talked about team totals are great because technically you don't even have to watch the whole game. Now in football it's a little easier to not watch. In basketball they go back and forth pretty quick. But the best part of your plays there is you don't really care what happens. If they take him out to 7-minute mark, they're going to give him a rest for whatever reason in whatever period. It doesn't matter. You can literally go to the fridge, make a sandwich, grab some chips, a nice cold beer. I don't know what your favorite beer is. I like Italian beers. And then you go back to the TV or wherever you're watching on your phone. Well, you got your sandwich, you got a beer, you got chips. Life is good. And then the guy goes back in. You didn't miss a damn thing because you don't care what the score is.
I agree with you, but I just think what they did in the second half to stop Jokic, I think they're going to continue doing that. And if they doesn't have another player that can hit shots, and none of them are hitting shots right now, and there's no Jamal Murray or Porter on the court that can shoot the three or hit the three, they depend too much on Jokic. The Golden State Warriors know that, so they've been doubling, sometimes when he gets to the hole, triple teaming him and making him force up shots. I think they're going to continue to do this moving forward in this series if it goes any further than 4 games. So
we've seen that in every sport. That guy ain't beating me. I don't care what sport it is. If you don't have that backup guy, the guy that says, okay, it's my time to shine, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I think Aaron Gordon, because of that, will have a better game. He will score more than 14.5. Bet Aaron Gordon on the over, Nikola Jokic on the under.
I think this is going to be one of the young player games for Golden State. I think they're going to use this game to try to not wear out Steph Curry and Klay Thompson with the injury, so definitely I like Jordan Poole a lot. Also, Andrew Wiggins is a guy I like to have a big game in this one as well. All right, Chaz, you want to do some baseball games with top pitchers in it?
This is the same situation, right? Sunday morning, you got to go to Sunday brunch at a fancy country club that doesn't have but one TV in the bar. If you bring your phone out, your in-laws are going to go off on you, and then all of a sudden your mother-in-law comes down with COVID and you are free. It's Sunday morning, but it's noon, and the game started at 1 o'clock, so you have an hour. So I'm going to teach you some of the things that I do. First of all, we know by what they make in their paychecks, and I've said it numerous times, the pitchers are the most important player on the field, so we're going to look at some pitchers. So you're going to give me a couple games that you're looking at, Petey, that where on Sunday both pitchers are already listed, because a to-be determined is not going to do me any good. I need to see both pitchers. If it was tomorrow morning, they would already be listed. But I've got an early schedule here, and I've got a few TBDs. So just avoid a TBD game and come up with a game for me.
Believe me, Chaz, I'm used to the TBDs driving me crazy. So we'll start with one with the Blue Jays and the Astros. Yusei Kikuchi on the mound for Toronto, 3.24 ERA this season, and Luis Garcia for Houston, 2.79 ERA at Houston.
So what I look at, and we talked about this, is the continuation of what they did last year to what they're doing this year. So if I was going to take the time to look at this game, I would have 2 monitors up, or I'd have multiple screens that I'd be going back, because what I want to see is this year an aberration? So he's pitched twice, going 8 innings, got a whip of 1.5. He's given up 3 earned runs in 8 innings. That's not too bad. And I look over at Garcia, and Garcia's got pretty much the same amount of innings. He's got 9 innings, but he's got a whip of under 1. And his career. He's a young pitcher, right?
He's 29 years old, but came over from Japan, so he hasn't pitched in the majors very long. Garcia's young.
They're both kind of the same, but in the regular season, Kikuchi's been in 72 games, and this guy's only been in 30-something games. So,
yeah, Garcia only came up last year, yes.
Yeah, but the only problem is when you start looking at pitchers, that's one thing, but Toronto's lineup is so really good in terms of the runs they're scored. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to look at their games. I'm going to say, hey, I go right back into covers, and on covers I open up the line. Now, remember, that's one of the reasons why we're looking at pitchers is because we have some still games going on Saturday that we're not going to know what they're doing. And one thing about Major League Baseball, I'm telling you right now, when teams are on it, you guys know, you're big-time baseball fans back there. When teams are on it, they're on it. You got to assume they're going to keep scoring runs. And when teams are not scoring runs, we look at the Yankees every single game. They're minus 170 or minus 200, and then they go on those 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row where they don't score. Dodgers do the same thing occasionally. Now, over the course of the year, yeah, if you bet the Yankees team total over, the Dodgers team total over, a lot of times you're going to win more than you lose. But during those streaks where they're not scoring for whatever reason and they start tweaking with the lineup, those are times you got to take advantage of and you got to make your opportunities to score some runs. So let me look real quick at that Toronto lineup because that one has won me so much money. Those kids, right? There's, what, 3 of them? They're all like
Teoscar Hernandez is hurt right now, but Bichette, Gurriel, obviously Vlad Jr., that was MVP runner-up last year, and now they bring in Matt Chapman, so they are loaded in that lineup.
Yeah, that's the one thing about them. You could have a great numbers as a pitcher. It's all who you face. And as we get later in the year, without a doubt, it'll be a little easier. So Houston, they're not really scoring. 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 4, 2, 8, 2, 0. Those are numbers that are not scaring me. And if I look at Toronto, 3, 6, 1, 4, 5, 4, 0, 6, 0, 3. I noticed them in the past. They do that. They bounce a lot, whether it's, they're facing pitchers are left-handed, bat right-handed, whatever the case may be over the course of the season. But their unders are 8 and 2. The games aren't going over because they're not giving up runs. They're giving up 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 0. And then a couple 4s. So that's what I'm leaning. I'm leaning on this game. I'm betting the under on this game. These are 2 young, good pitchers. I'm hoping that with a team like Toronto, you see it a lot with Boston. You see it with the AL East. Almost all the teams, those unders are usually a half a run or even a run more than they should be. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to not worry about the game. I'm going to bet the under. I'm going to hopefully see in the 4th inning 1-0, and then I might end up doing what Wes does. I might hop on the dip and go with the over. That winning 2 bets by having the over and the under in the same game, I love doing that because when I'm out at bars, I get to screw with people's heads because they don't understand the concept of how could you win with the under and the over. You can only do it in live action.
Your San Diego Padres, with Sean Manaea on the mound, are hosting the L.A. Dodgers, a bitter Southern California baseball rivalry. Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers.
First thing, how many times have we talked about Clayton Kershaw in terms of the point spread with him? It's just brutal. He is so overcompensated for. It's not like he doesn't give up runs occasionally. He gives up runs, and sometimes he gets whacked pretty good. So let's look at that game real quick and see what's jumping out at me. I'm not saying that this happens every day or every week. There's at least 3 or 4 times a month where I'm looking at the clock because, as you know, if you're betting online, the game comes off the board.
Right.
So you've got to get your bets in on time. The Dodgers are winning games, and they're just not giving up runs. They look like they could win a championship. When was the last time they won a championship?
The Dodgers?
2 years ago.
Yeah, they just won one.
Exactly. I think I really didn't allow to beat
They're
them
a little lost
last
there.
year.
Before then, it was like in 1990, right?
1988. Kirk Gibson.
That's right.
Yeah. The Padres look like world beaters beating the Cincinnati, and we had them. And every single game was a money line win. So we did the same thing that we did with the Moneyline Mania. We were given like $180 to win 100, and then we were doing the run line, and we got sometimes I think we got plus 115 when they won by more than 1.5. And every single game they did that. They swept. They played Atlanta the 3 games before that. They scored 6 total runs. This game is really going to be, for me, an easy play. I'm betting on the Dodgers, and I'm laying the 1.5 because I'm not going to take Kershaw at the odds that he's going to be at, because the odds he's going to be at are going to be really, really high.
I don't bet on baseball. I'm not going to pull something out of my rear end and say, you know what, I'm going to bet this guy, I'm going to bet that guy in a particular baseball game, because it's still early. And with pitchers, you just don't know how on they're going to be in that particular game. Some pitchers pitch well for 2 or 3 games and then fall off. So I can't bet that Kershaw's going to have 8 or 9 strikeouts in the game, because last game I think Kershaw pitched very, very well.
You got a great point that if you're not going to bet baseball and you decide you're, for whatever reason that you are, you just go look at maybe their last 3 or 4 games, and you'll find a guy or two that's jumping out at you in the box score, and there's where you can get your player prop. But the other thing is, when these pitchers are pitching good, you got to have them for the first 5 innings. You look at Kershaw, he had a perfect game, and they pulled him, right?
Yep. 7 innings.
How sick would you be if they pull your pitcher in the 5th inning, he's winning 3-0, you don't cash a ticket, and they end up losing 4-3 with relievers.
Well,
so you got to have that first 5 innings with these stud pitchers.
We've seen this from the Dodgers manager before. So he's done it 3 times when his pitchers have had perfect games going into the 6th, 7th, and even the 8th inning. He pulls them for some reason. It doesn't make any sense. I know he's trying to save them, but it's 12, 13 games in the season? It doesn't matter if you're playing him for the whole game and trying to get him the perfect game. How many times do you get a chance to pitch a perfect game? Clayton Kershaw has never pitched a perfect game.
There's only 23 perfect games in Major League history.
And he had a chance. He had 3 more innings, and he could have pitched a perfect game. That was a horrible move by Roberts, and that's why I think Dave Roberts is one of the worst coaches, one of the worst managers in all of baseball.
You do have to at least talk to him and say, hey, listen, I'm going to let you go till you give up a hit, or I'm going to let you go till you hit somebody, or I'm going to let you go till you walk somebody. But you don't take them out perfect. There's no logic for that. A perfect game isn't a high pitch count. Then again, he gets paid to make those decisions.
He gets paid to do absolutely nothing because he has one of the best lineups in all of baseball, and it's not hard. Me and you could be the manager.
I'm not arguing with that. Let's get Speedy on third. You be in the dugout. I'll be on first base, Coach.
I could sit there.
I guarantee the Dodgers, we would probably win as many games coaching the Dodgers as we do giving out plays on this show.
You're probably right. You're absolutely right. And we'll definitely be over 65%. Anyway, Chaz, tell the boys thank you. We will get them on next week. I know Worldwide West was chipping at the bit, but he had something to do over there in Kansas. I know he's a busy man right now, but we'd love to get you guys on in full force next week. We really appreciate your time.
Always, man. Always be cashing.